What is going on, football fans? Today we are going to talk about the New York Giants offense and specifically the wide receiver position and what role I expect Sterling Shephard to have this year and whether or not I think the New York Giants could surpass the production they had last year and even previous years from the offense. Now, of course, Odell Beckham is off the team and he was a big focal point. There's no doubt about it. Beckham missed the last 4 games last year where he still put up over 1,000 yards in 12 games. The year before, he only played 4 contests, so he's only played a season's worth of games over the last 2 years due to injuries. And some say he lost a step off the injuries that he has sustained last year. Now, I still think Odell Beckham is a great wide receiver. I think he's going to perform very well for the Cleveland Browns. But do I think the New York Giants offense can be better without him? Yes, and I'm not going to say that one player will make up for his production. That's impossible. You cannot replace a guy like Odell Beckham with one player. Now, many people, their concern with this wide receiver core is that their 2 best receivers over the course of their careers have been slot wide receivers, and it's certainly a fair concern whether or not Golden Tate or Sterling Shephard is capable of playing the X on the outside. They have lived as slot wide receivers. Sterling Shephard, when he was drafted, was projected as a slot wide receiver, and Golden Tate's pretty much been the same thing. Now, I will say, earlier in Golden Tate's career, he did have some success playing on the outside with the Seattle Seahawks, but since he's transferred to the Lions and over the course of his career, he has really become a slot wide receiver, and he's one of the best in the game at it. In 2017, I believe he was the highest-ranked slot wide receiver, at least at some point through the season. He has sure hands. He's very good. He's a good route runner. And I think that is how the New York Giants will utilize Golden Tate. I do, however, think that they plan to use Shepard more on the outside. And the New York Giants and Pat Shurmur even said that last year. And I think it's very possible. Now, Shepard, most of his success, specifically his first 2 years in the league, definitely came in the slot. He had 10 touchdowns in his first 2 years. 8 came in the first year, 2 the second. All of them came when he was within the slot. So it's certainly a fair concern to think he may not be able to play the X, the outside wide receiver. But I think he does possess the speed. Now, some people are going to say he does not possess the height. And I guess that's fair to say 10, 15 years ago. But look at the best wide receivers in the game right now. They're not the tallest guys. You could start with Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham is 5'11". You go back and look at his combine, it's pretty comparable to that of Sterling Shephard. Beckham was 5'11". He ran a 4.43 40 with a 38-inch vertical leap. Sterling Shephard, 5'10". He ran a 4.48 with a 41-inch vertical leap, which was actually tied for the highest vertical leap among any wide receiver in his draft class. Shepard, his senior year, he played unbelievable. He had just under 1,300 yards on just over 80 receptions. So I think Shepard, in the right situation, given the right target count, if he's utilized properly, could have a big season. Even on the outside, I wouldn't be shocked if he puts up 11 or 1,200 yards. He could be used in a similar role to a Victor Cruz, the way he was utilized both inside and out, kind of like a Swiss Army knife type wide receiver in different sets. I don't think he'll ever be that, the 100% that guy on the outside like a Julio Jones, who's like 6'4", could go up and catch those passes. But in the new age NFL, you look at the best wide receivers. We said Beckham's 5'11". Antonio Brown is 5'10". And he is not near the athlete that a Sterling Shephard is. Go back and look at the numbers on his combine. He ran in the mid-4.5s, and he had a 33-inch vertical leap. But he's a great route runner, and he has great attention to detail. Now, can Shepard develop that? Well, we don't know. But Antonio Brown was not given that opportunity until his 3rd or 4th year in the league when they got rid of Santonio Holmes. And then he became the primary target for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is when his career took off. Now, I'm not saying that is going to happen for Sterling Shephard, but I'm also not going to say that it's impossible. And if the Giants want to have a big year this year, Sterling Shephard is going to have to take a big step forward, and he's going to have to become that guy that the New York Giants paid for. Quite frankly, Shepard has not earned the contract that the New York Giants gave him. Last year was his best season he's ever had in the pros. He had about 850 yards receiving. And he's never even reached 900 yards in a season. Now, some of that has to do with the fact that he's played number 2 to Odell Beckham. He's also had some problems dropping balls. Now, last year he was a little bit better. On 105 targets, he dropped 5 balls, which is still not great. It's just under a 5% drop rate. You want to be more in like the mid threes probably. So he needs to get surer hands. The same could be said for Evan Ingram. Both those guys are going to have to take huge step forwards to replace the production from an Odell Beckham. And, of course, the offense is always going to revolve around Saquon Barkley. He's the bread and butter of this offense. He was the bread and butter last year. But to think that this offense cannot be successful without Odell Beckham, well, I just disagree. Last year, Eli Manning had, I believe, 5 games in which he had a QB rating over 100. In the 4 games that Beckham missed, he was over 100 in 2 of them. He also passed for over 300 yards in 2 of those games, and Sterling Shephard and Evan Ingram played well, specifically Evan Ingram down the stretch. Now, like I said, we're not going to be able to replace Beckham with one player, but I think we can spread the ball around to make this an even better offense than last year. I really do. Barkley will have to be heavily involved, and the offensive line is going to play a vital part in this. But the Giants last year, I believe, hit 30 points 5 times. They did not hit 30 points in the 2 previous seasons combined. So maybe Pat Shurmur brought something to this team. Maybe it took a little while for it to click. But down the stretch, you saw it in the Bucs game. You saw it in the Colts game on the road. You saw it against the Cowboys the last game of the season. The Redskins game when we put up a 40 spot. This offense started to click, and it revolved around Saquon Barkley. Now, in terms of the 3rd and 4th wide receivers, we're going to have to see how that plays out in training camp with the Darius Slaytons of the world. Cody Latimer, who actually had a really good game the last game of the season, who has a little more height, could go up and catch those balls. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But I think Shepard is going to play a vital part in this offense, not just for this year, but going forward. I think the New York Giants believe that this guy is the real deal and could be a number 1 wide receiver. And I think he can be. I'm not saying he will be. I have to see evidence before I say that. Like I said, he's never had 900 yards receiving. But it has been done before, and Antonio Brown is a perfect example of that. But we'll have to wait and see. I cannot wait for football season. I just want to get a quick video up on the page talking about Sterling Shephard and the role I think he will have on this year's offense. I don't expect him to play predominantly in the slot like he has in the past because I think Golden Tate, even though I think Shepard's a great slot wide receiver as well in terms of the way he projects, he's great at running those underneath routes at 5'10". He has the speed to create separation. Like I said, he ran a 4.4840, which was the 3rd highest total of any wide receiver in his draft class, and he had the highest vertical leap. But I think Golden Tate is better suited for that. I think he has surer hands, and I think that's the way he will be used more. I expect Barkley to be used on those short and intermediate routes. I still expect Shepard to be used that way as well, but I think he will have a more expanded role in terms of running deep post patterns and things alike, kind of taking over that Odell Beckham role, and we'll see if Shepard can handle it. But I don't think height's a problem. I mean, Antonio Brown, even DeAndre Hopkins, he's 6'1", but he's not the tallest guy in the world. It's a new NFL. And I think Shepard could fit it nicely. He's got to improve his attention to detail, and he's got to improve his hands. But if he can do that, Shepard could be in for a big season this year, and 1,200 yards is not out of the realm of possibility. And I could see close to double-digit touchdowns. But Shepard will play a big part in this offense for the upcoming season, and I cannot wait to see how it turns out. As always, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.